Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today's disc review, we are taking a look at the PYRO from Axiom Discs. So in today's video, we're going to start with the profile and feel, followed by the flight, both the lefty and righty perspectives, how I use it out on the course, as well as how different plastic types may affect the flight and might work best for you, as well as the lefty lines follow flight to see how those different plastic types compare. If that kind of thing is for you, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. Overall, the PYRO has a very flat flight plate, at least in the Proton and Neutron prisms, compared to the newly released Fission PYRO. As you can see, the Fission has just a little bit more dome to it, so depending if you like flatter or domier overstable mid-ranges, the PYRO has you covered. And no matter if you like forehand or backhand with an overstable mid-range, you will be able to find the one that feels best for you. So let's go ahead and now talk about the flight, beginning with the flight numbers. Mentioned earlier, the PYRO is an overstable mid-range. Speed 5, glide 4, turn 0, and a fade of 2.5. For me, that glide is a little misleading. I think in the Prism Proton and Neutron, probably closer to a glide 3, but I would definitely say in at least the Fission, because that extra dome will give you some extra glide if that is what you're looking for. For a slower arm speed player like myself, the PYRO is incredibly overstable, which makes it incredibly trustworthy and predictable. When I throw it on a hyzer, that is all it's going to do. It almost starts to immediately hyzer as soon as it leaves my hand. When thrown flat, it really doesn't go that much further. It maybe holds straight for about 50% of the flight before all of a sudden it turns into that hyzer angle and then just has this really big dump at the end. And even when you start putting it onto those anhyzer lines, it really doesn't want much to do with those, as it auto-corrects back to flat and then starts to hyzer out very, very quickly. So it makes this a great disc to be using in the wind when you want to do a force over flex shot to get around an obstacle. It's not going to hold the turn very long at all, and then you'll be able to trust that it's always going to swing back. And since it has such great resistance to high speed turn in the initial part of the flight, you can really rip into the PYRO and you don't have to worry about it turning over. Even if you are a bigger arm, you can still rip on this on maybe just the slightest of hyzer lines. You may get just the slightest bit of flip, but this is going to hold without turning and then just giving you that really nice predictable finish. Additionally, since it does have that very good resistance to high speed turn, it can handle all the extra torque that you put on it when it comes to forehand. Now, yes, with that extra torque, it is going to get maybe just a little bit more noticeable turn in the very middle of the flight than, say, with backhand. However, it is still incredibly overstable, so you can still trust that it's going to kind of fight out of any little slight panning turn that it might get and still give you that extremely predictable hyzer finish. Which, just like backhand, means that even on forehand, the PYRO is very, very good and consistent when it comes to being thrown in the wind. This is a great wind-fighting mid-range for those of you who throw with a lot of headwinds, as even on those windy days, I don't really notice too much deviation in the PYRO's flight. Okay, we've seen the PYRO out in a wide open field, but how about out on the course on actual disc golf lines? Well, this hole you have just a little bit of trouble on the left there, but you have both left and right spike hyzer options, and with the PYRO's overstability, you don't have to worry about it flipping up to flat and then pushing too far forward. It is just going to hyzer out. Here you just have trouble on the right hand side. I mentioned the PYRO is good for forehand. Even if you accidentally shank it a little bit like this and overturn it, it is going to level itself out and it's going to fight back towards the target. For this next shot, the basket is protected by trees in front and on the right. For a cheating lefty like myself, there is a wide open gap on the left-hand side, so I'm going to put the PYRO on a little bit of a forced over flex line, just knowing that it is going to fight its way out and find its way behind all the trees. When it comes to the different plastic types, the PYRO has a decent amount of variety, most of which come with that prism rim. For the flight plates, it has plasma, neutron, proton, and then also that new Fission that was just released. Out of the three that I had, which is the Neutron, Proton, and the Fission, the Neutron Prism was probably the most overstable. It was just a tick more torque resistant, a tick more overstability than the Proton. I could not really get it to work on almost any different angles, while the Fission was the exact opposite. If you are a slower arm and you're looking for an overstable mid-range that is not extremely overstable, that can still be worked on several different lines, a little bit more understable in the earlier part of the flight, then the Fission is for you, as it is definitely the straightest option of all three of the plastics that I threw. But let's go ahead and look at all three of them side by side, as well as another overstable mid-range, the DGA Quake. Overall, when it comes to stability, I think the Prism Proton is in the middle of the three different pyros that I had. The Prism Neutron is going to be the most overstable, as it just kind of comes out of that straight line just a little bit sooner than the Proton, versus the Fission holds that straight line considerably longer than both the Neutron or the Proton, and then has a nice overstable finish, but again holds straight considerably longer, and very reminiscent of the Proline Quake, which will hold very straight, then just as it slows down, it then has that overstable finish. So if I had to recommend the different plastic types for the PYRO, I would say the Proton is for your more medium arm speed players, something that is going to be very overstable but not obscenely overstable. The Neutron probably better for the faster arm speed players, as it just has a slight more overstability, slightly more torque resistance. And then you have the Fission, which is going to be the straightest. It's going to be a very straight flyer, which will just have an overstable finish, or something that for bigger arms they could probably use on controlled turnover shots that they can trust is going to level out and then maybe even have a little bit of a fight back at the very end of the flight. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Again, thank you all so much. And if you haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you do not miss out on any future disc reviews. I am always posting, even throughout the winter. I have enough videos done that I will keep posting all throughout the winter and again into the spring. Also, for all your disc buying needs, be sure to visit GreatLakesDisc.com. Use code LEFTY to save some money. Until the next time, everyone, keep banging chains.